Welcome, everyone. I'm sorry. Excellent. So good evening, everyone. In our class today, we called Let Me In. Who is telling us let me in? Last week, if you don't mind, some of you are not, if you don't mind to mute yourself so then we don't have extra noise. Those of us who were with us last week, we had a wonderful, hello, Jennifer, a wonderful topic of happiness. One of the keys to happiness is gratitude. And you don't have to tell me each one because it's different in Zoom when we're sitting. Bezrat Hashem, God willing, soon we'll be all together, not just through Zoom, not just spiritually, but physically we'll be together. We'll be able to sit around a long table the way we used to do at Chabad and have fruits and vegetables and nice pastry and so on and so forth, and learn together. So discuss together, then it's easier to have feedback this way. It takes a little bit longer, but anyway. And Sanel, I think you remember when we had that class a few years ago at the Chabad house, when we said because we have 60 days of happiness, we should have 60 days of gratitude. That's one of the keys to be happy. One of the tools is to be grateful. And I have to tell you, girls, and I hope all of you tried. I don't know how it was. Did you try? The homework we gave ourselves last week was that at least 1 minute in the day, we're gonna be grateful. And we're not just gonna say, oh, thank you, Hashem. We're gonna actually think in our mind or say in our mouth. I mean, we're not children. I mean, never mind, not children. I think as we grow older, when we do things, we talk to ourselves. But anyway, basically to thank Hashem for the stuff that we have. And it makes us so happy. And it really does. And I can share with you that I mean, you do know that we, Baruch Hashem, recovered from COVID, and thank you to everyone who sent their wishes and gave me ideas what to do and so on and so forth. I'm much better. I feel more or less the same, although still don't have the right enough energy to exercise the way I used to. So slowly we will get up. You know, we walk outside. Baruch Hashem, there's no ice. So during the day we try to walk with the rabbi, whatever, and get the energy back, the physical and spiritual. And sometimes at night was hard to sleep still. I wake up and think about everything I still didn't do. And, you know, all of us with those guys. And I'm sure that helped. When that happened to me a few times this week, I would just lay in bed and do my minute or minute and a half of gratitude then. Thank you, Hashem, that I'm in bed, that I have a warm bed, that I have a room, that I have a house with a roof. And Baruch Hashem, that I have the spouse, some of us have friends, whatever that is. I have the child here. I have only one child here at home. The other children are well. They are somewhere else. My father, so on and so forth. Just little things to thank Hashem for. It really helps. I had a meeting with someone this week, actually, to be honest, at the Chevra Kadisha. Monday morning, and it was just I don't like driving there. Just I think all of you would agree with me because they change all the roads, all the signs, so you have to go it's all new ways, and I have to be on time. And obviously, I did not leave 15 minutes early the way I wanted. I got there on time, but I wanted to be there 15 minutes before, and it was very windy. You know, open roads, right? You go Chevra Kadisha, it's open roads, it's all new. Some of the signs are not really there, so it's a little bit hard. Many times we get lost. And as I was driving, I was like a little bit uptight. And then I said to myself, no. And I started thanking Hashem, and it really helped. I said, Rochel, be grateful. You can drive, you can see, you have the energy in your hands and in your feet. Not everybody always has it. It's good weather. It was sunny, no snow, no rain. It was windy, but I was able to follow ways and, all those things. As I was telling myself as I was driving and following the route, it really made me be grateful. And the anxiety that I had to get there on time, I got there on time, Baruch Hashem, and being afraid, okay, so I'll make the wrong turn. So I'll get it a little bit later, as long as I'm safe. I know it sounds silly, but it's not silly because that's the way of life. When we open a Siddur, and we read, Baruch Atah Hashem, bless you Hashem, thank you, Modim Anachnu, thank you Hashem for this, bless us, bless everybody, thank you for having eyesight, thank you for being able to stand straight, thank you for having clothes, right? All the things we do in the morning. Thank you for this. All those. Thank you. Why? Because then we realize. And when we realize not only that we are grateful and we are happy, which is amazing accomplishment, that makes us want to do something. When you are happy, you want to do something with your life. That's why it's so important. Ivdu as Hashem besimcha. Ivdu et Hashem besimcha. This is part of our mitzvahs. Work Hashem, serve Hashem with happiness. And there are many commenters asking why? Why do you have to serve Hashem with happiness? I do Shabbat. I'll do the kiddush. I light the candles. I'll do the kiddush. We'll have the chal. We'll have the Shabbos meal. Why do I have to do it with joy and happiness? I can just do it. Well, we know. When our child enjoys learning something, you want him or her to learn musical instrument and they enjoy it, they will study, they will practice, they will do great. If they're doing it because they're afraid of you, you're going to tell them, oh, you didn't practice yet. You have to do 30 minutes of piano. What do you think? I'm paying for no reason? You're going to teach it. You give them all these speeches. They're not enjoying it. They're not doing their best. They're doing it because they're afraid. They have no choice. And that's not the way we do Torah. We do Torah from happiness. When we wake up in the morning, the first thing we say, Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. I thank you, Hashem, that you gave me back my soul. And the next two words, I was really concentrating on them this week. Rabba emunatecha, modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam, shechzata bi nishmati bechemla. Rabba emunatecha. Rabba means harbe, lots. Rabba emunatecha means your trust is great. Your trust is great doesn't just mean that I trust in you, Hashem. Your trust is great in me. You have a lot of trust in me that I'm going to make my day today the best day in my life. That I'm going to really use up all the gifts, all the things I'm grateful for, what I have, I will use it for the best. And then I'm going to have a productive day. When we wake up in the morning and we are sad and we don't feel like doing anything, then how can we let me in? What does let me in means? We have to let Hashem in our homes, in our lives, in ourselves. The only way we can do it is one of the ways, not the only way. Sometimes people do it from sorrow, God forbid, but we can do it with happiness, with gratefulness. In the Parsha of Truma of last week, what we were learning is Hashem said, "Va'asuli mikdash." You will make me a house, a temple, a holy place, a mishkan, a dwelling place, and I will dwell in betocham, in them. That's plural. Let's try to understand it a little bit. I heard a story from my friend, Rebbetzin Simi Strokes. Her husband is the Moel. She had about a week and a half ago, there was a yortzeit of her Zayda. And she said that she would always ask her mother, how was life back there, in the old country and so on, and how, if she can explain to her how her grandparents' life was and so on and so forth. And she tried to explain it. She said the first time she really understood it was a week and a half ago, they had a Zoom. I guess it was a special number for the yortzeit of their Zayda. And they had a Zoom and cousins and aunties and uncles and many people were on it. And when they were on the Zoom, everybody was speaking. And then one of the aunts decided to share a story. And she said, because the younger generation asked, look, how was Zayda? How was Baba? How were they? And she said, they told us a story. The grandfather, that during the mother said that she remembers when they were unfortunately running away from the Nazis in Machshmam, and it was a Shabbos afternoon when it was getting dark, and then we eat right on Shabbos. We have a mitzvah to eat 3 meals. We eat Friday night, we eat Shabbos lunch, and then we have Shalosh Shudas, Seudah Shlishit, the third meal before Mincha, after Mincha, and so on and so forth. And that was the third meal. They were sitting in the dark, obviously, because they didn't want to be detected. So there was no light. They wouldn't have any candles and so on. And they had food. What was their food? It was a dry piece of bread, that oil that was like brown because it was not refined, and some salt. And the end I was speaking, she said, you know, Zayda took the piece of bread after they washed, you know, put it in the salt, in the oil, made the bracha, in the arts, and started eating it. And he had so much joy. He said, thank God that we are alive. Thank God it's Shabbos. Thank God we can make a bracha and eat. She's saying, how were those people able to do that? That's so difficult. And Hashem should never test anyone. None of us, none of our families, no one, because that's a really hard test, to be in such darkness and still to be able to feel, let me in. Hashem tells us, let me in, build a sanctuary in your heart for me, not just a beautiful home, not just a beautiful shul, not just a beautiful Beit HaMikdash, but it's got to be in everybody's heart. As it says in the Torah, Hashem said, build a Mikdash, and I'll dwell in them. What do you mean you dwell in them? The commentators are asking, you have only one Beit HaMikdash, you have only one sanctuary. What do you mean Hashem would dwell? Hashem said, I'll dwell in them. Because Hashem says, I'll dwell in each one, in every one of our homes, in every Jewish home Hashem is in. Hashem is in every Jewish heart, in all of our bodies. We have to let Hashem in. How do we let Hashem in? When we are happy, when we're doing what Hashem wants. And Nesimi continued saying that obviously that would be so much nicer. Who can even explain, you know, later on that Baruch Hashem, they survived the war, they came to the new country, they lived in New York, and she remembers still her Baba's delicacies, all the yummy food she prepared for during the day of the week, and obviously for Shabbos, everything that she used to prepare. They didn't have that when they were at the Holocaust, but they still were able to feel that Hashem is with them and to be grateful for the little they had. We don't understand why people went through that dark time. There were so many millions of people that went through during that time. Many survived with many miracles. Many didn't. We don't understand. We don't know it. We are not going there now. But her Zayda and Baba that survived, and many that survived, when they came to the new country, they brought Hashem with them. They were able to now serve Hashem with happiness in the new place. They were so grateful. We have 613 mitzvot. It's special love that Hashem gave us to be bound to Him, to be close to Him. Although now we have maybe about over 200 that are really applicable in our lives. But we have to be so lucky that we have it. We have to be so lucky that we have the ability to be connected to Hashem. When it comes to food, we have the mitzvah of kosher. When it comes to, we have the mezuzah to protect our home. When it comes to speech, Hashem is teaching us, don't do lashon hara, don't speak gossip, be always nice, speak good words, kind words. Don't reprimand someone else just to hurt their feelings. If you do want to tell them something and you have to reprimand them, do it in a quiet way, do it in a subtle way, not just with your friend, not just with your spouse, with your children. We don't own our children. Our children are our gift that Hashem gave us. Our spouses, our parents, those though we do realize that we have to respect more, but many times, especially when it comes to children, so many times we feel, well, it's my child. They have to listen to me. Well, they have to listen to us because we want their best, but they don't have to listen to us if we're just telling them silly things. I mean, we shouldn't be telling them silly things, right? I mean, they have to listen to us, they have the mitzvah. But what I'm saying is we have to see everything in life as an opportunity. Hashem gave me those children, the one child, the many, the grandchildren, they are gifts. What can I do to enhance their life? What can I do to teach them so they should be happier? There's many things that we have done wrong when we were younger, as young mothers, young fathers, whichever, I'm sure. I have many guilt things that I think I'm sure everybody does, but we have to change it. When I'm thinking sometimes, you know, one time I said this and this to this for that person, well, I can't go back. The only thing I can do is to change, because now I'm older, I'm wiser, and to do the things the right way. If I think that I did not do didn't show enough Yiddishkeit, did not show enough role models for my children. Let me show it now to my grandchildren. Let them learn, let them understand what Jewish life means. And look here, the story that I would just share with you from Simi, what she heard about her grandfather. It puts a lot of, how should I say, a lot of positive impression to our children. I know I love, and I try always to put emphasis to share with the children who they're named after, if it's grandparents, and even the ones that are not named after grandparents are named after the Rebbes, the Rebbetzins, so they know about them, and also about our physical grandparents, great-grandparents, so they know, they understand. And many times they think like, how were they able to go through it? I know many times I would sit and look at my father-in-law, may he rest in peace, and thought, he was in jail in so many years, but he has done. My step-grandma went through Auschwitz. She had the number on her hand, and I was then young, didn't really realize, I was a teenager, what she went through. But later on, once you learn and you think what those people saw, what they went through, and she was so frum, she was so religious, she was from Hungary, so organized, so clean, and always davened and did everything correctly, and always was so nice and so grateful, and it was so amazing how much we can learn from those people. When we start the parsha of this week, ve'ata tetzaveh, and you should command. What do you mean in you? Who is you? Probably some of you read a little bit about the parsha. Hashem is speaking to somebody. Who is Hashem speaking to? And you should command the Jewish people to light the menorah in the temple. Yeah, we all know. Obviously, Hashem is speaking to Moshe. Hashem is speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Why isn't Hashem saying his name? Girls, if you take, I don't know, you'll believe me for it, and perhaps you already know and you learned about it. If you take the Parsha of Tetzaveh in the Chumash, the whole Parsha doesn't have Moshe's name at all, not even once. Every time is you, it doesn't have Moshe's name. That's the only Parsha in the Torah that doesn't have Moshe's name. From the time that Moshe was born, obviously in Genesis, in the first book, the Bereshit speaks of creation of the world, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rochel, Leah, it doesn't speak about Moshe. Moshe wasn't born yet. But from the Parsha that Moshe was born, since Moshe's birth, Moshe Rabbeinu's name was always there. That's the first time that Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned. There's many commentaries. One explains that in the month of Adar, that's when we read the Parsha, like now it's Adar, Moshe Rabbeinu was born, but Moshe Rabbeinu also passed away. So like this Parsha doesn't have his name. But the strength of the Parsha is that when Moshe Rabbeinu came down, as we know, with the first time, with the luchot, with the tablets, right? And then unfortunately, the Jewish people served a golden calf, worshipped idols. And the luchot, it says Moshe Rabbeinu broke it. When he broke it, it became so heavy. They were huge pieces of stone. It was impossible for a human to hold. But because they were so holy, they were so godly, the weight wasn't there. But when the Eden worshipped the golden calf, Hashem said they don't deserve the luchot, they don't deserve the tablets. And it says like the holiness, the letters went back to heaven, and it fell, he broke it. As we all know, then he got second ones and they stayed forever. Hashem was very upset. And Hashem told Moshe that I've done so much for the Jewish people. Why they always rebel in me? Just because they made a mistake. They thought Moshe died because he was supposed to come after 40 days, right? And there was a whole, we won't go into all the details of the golden calf. But anyway, Hashem told Moshe that I'm going to make a new nation of the Jewish people just from you and your family. And everyone else will perish. I'll punish everyone. And Moshe Rabbeinu pleaded and pleaded and pleaded. He brought many examples. He said, the Jewish people are built from the 3 fathers and the 4 mothers. If they cannot contain the nation, how will I, one person, be able to? If you have a chair, you have 3 legs, 4 legs, stronger than 1 leg, and many, many examples, whatever prayers Moshe Rabbeinu told Hashem. And then Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem, if you're going to decide to punish the Jewish people, to erase the Jewish people, God forbid, Moshe said, Mecheni na misifrecha asher katafta. I'll say it again for the ones that speak Hebrew. Mecheni na, erase me, misifrecha, from the book asher katafta, that you have written. Which means, take my name out of the Torah. Because Moshe Rabbeinu was so holy, was so special, and he said something like that, we learn when we say something, it doesn't go in vain. And that's why it's so important to say only good things. We should never, God forbid, curse, or, sorry, I'm saying the word, or say bad words, or wish something bad to someone or something, because nothing goes not noticed. And usually we say, what goes around comes around. If somebody says something bad to someone else, are we righteous? We don't want Hashem to say, oh, you're wishing it to someone else? Well, I don't want to say the rest. So Moshe Rabbeinu said, erase me. Obviously, Hashem did not erase him from the Torah, but here Hashem took out his name. And we have to be very careful with speech. I want to mention as well, February, we always have inclusion. Our whole life, we always have to be very kind to people with special needs. And actually next week, we have a special program at Chabad, and we'll share it. It'll be in the email, and I'll share it next week. It'll be next Motzei Shabbat, next Saturday night, a very, very special program about inclusion. And it's good for all of us to listen. And it's called The One Thing I Wish You Knew. How it's important to listen. Because many times we just look at people, oh, it doesn't matter. We don't take the time to listen. So we'll have stories of people, and I would like to sometimes get together and all of us, just to share, because many times if there's the one thing I wish you knew about me, I knew about you, we would look at each other in a different way. We would have more respect. We would realize, wow, you're wearing very special shoes. I don't know if I would be able to wear them if I was, if I had your feet and I had to walk in your shoes. And I know that since we were children, we always knew when we see somebody who is crippled, who is special need in whatever way, we don't stare at them and we don't copy them. Children like to copy. Oh, I saw this person, they couldn't walk straight. They were walking so funny, or they were speaking funny, or their hand was so this, they couldn't pick up, and they were whatever, different things. And they say, no, you don't copy. You help. If you can, you help them. You don't laugh, you don't stare, and you don't copy. Because if you copy someone, like you're laughing at them, and it says in the Torah, if you copy someone who cannot walk straight, who is blind, who is this, God forbid, it might happen, whatever, to that person as well. God forbid, we won't go into that. So speech is very important. Everything that we're doing is very important. And this parsha speaks when Va'ata Tetzaveh, that Hashem speaks to Moshe. Chassidus explains, the Rebbe explains, it's a very high level. Hashem doesn't just speak to Moshe by his name, Moshe, come, and you, Moshe, do. Hashem says, Ve'ata, and you. It's very direct. It's very personal. This month of Adar, and this year we have 60 days. Why those days are so special? Why the month of Adar? Adar is from the word of Adir, strong, greatness. Why? The month is also has the mazal, we are the luck, if we may, of fish. Fish, you don't see them. They're under the water. They multiply a lot. They have no ayin hara. They have no evil eye. And we have the mazal of Adar, of health, because Moshe Rabbeinu, the Nasi, the leader of the generation, was born of Adar. And that's why the story of Purim happened of Adar. That's what the miracle of of Purim happens in Adar. Adar, the month of Adar that we have now, is the happiest month of the year. And that has a very strong connection to Moshe. It's a lot of Kabbalah as well. I'll try to explain a little bit. I don't have a lot of time. I was studying, different things, what the Rebbe said as well, V'ata Tetzava Maimer. And this was kind of, I think, almost the last, it was the last Hasidic discourse, or one of the last ones, because after that, the 27th of Adar 1 was also a leap year when the Rebbe had a stroke. And then we did not merit, unfortunately, anymore to hear the Rebbe's speech. God willing, Mashiach will come when everybody will come back to life and we'll see and hear everybody. And the Rebbe was explaining how the leader of the generation is connected to each one of us, because the neshama of Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Pashtuta de Moshe bechol dora v'dora." It's in Aramaic. It's from the Zohar. That Moshe is spread in every generation. What does it mean? That we have a leader like Moshe in every generation, and that the neshama of Moshe, a leader, has to have a neshama, a soul that is called neshama klalit. Klal means general, the whole community, everyone. And a leader has a neshama that includes all the neshamas in it, like the head, like the brain. If God forbid something is wrong, God forbid something is wrong in the brain, if a person, God forbid, whoever ever got, nobody else should get, God forbid, a stroke, the person's body can still look the same. But part of the body, if that was connected to the brain, if it was, God forbid, damaged, all of a sudden they can't move their hand or the foot or whatever, God forbid, or if it's affected the speech. It says of a Rebbe, of a tzaddik, of a leader, of Moshe Rabbeinu that was born, that's what we're explaining it now, in Adar, Rebbe, the acronym of the word Rebbe is Rosh Bnei Israel, the head of Bnei Israel, the head of the Jewish people. Rosh Bnei Israel, if you take every letter, is Rabbi, Rebbe. So the Rebbe has Moshe Rabbeinu, the leader, the Rebbe has the neshama. All the neshamot are included in his, because he has a neshama that can feel everyone. That's the only way that we were able to connect, that Moshe Rabbeinu was able to pray for all the Jewish people, that when the Jewish people came to complain, he was able to help them. He did everything for us. In Mitzrayim, took us out of Egypt, all of the things. And closer in our lives, we see the leaders of the generation, in our generation, the Rebbe. And how everyone is connected. The parsha of this week, V'ata Tetzava, the first mitzvah, it speaks, and you should command the Jewish people, who is you, Moshe, that they should take shemen zayit zach, they should take olive oil, pure olive oil, katit lamaor, that you should crush the olive very strongly, and then the pure oil comes out. You take, so again, I'm reading, pure olive oil, katit lamaor, you crush the olives and the pure oil comes out, lehalot ner tamid, every day to bring up the ner tamid, the candle that had to be steady lit. So what is the Rebbe explaining? That Hashem told Moshe that you have the neshama that can light every yid. So you have to take the oil, you have to light the menorah, and that menorah should help all the yidden be lit. Let me explain a little bit more. The way the Torah explains, when you take an olive and you press it, it doesn't hurt the olive, but that idea of a neshama, unfortunately, we were pressed so much, the Rebbe says. When you press someone hard, then the good comes out, usually. When things are easy, many times, this is human nature. When things are easy, it's hard to feel someone else. My mother, Rochel, would always say, person who is satisfied, a person who ate a good meal, and she or he is not hungry and not thirsty, they have a hard time understanding a hungry person. You have to be a very refined person to have a nice home, and nice furniture and car and food and clothing and everything and jewelry and everything that we need, and still understand that somebody else needs help and actually help them. This is amazing. Not everybody can do that. We have to be refined. We have to learn to do it. But when somebody has a lot, it's easy for them to understand and to forget about helping. If, God forbid, somebody is crushed, somebody is broken, when we are bitter, if something is hurting us, it's easier for us to understand someone else. We don't have to be so refined to understand someone else because we are suffering also, God forbid. But we don't want to ask that from Hashem. We want to ask Hashem that we should be happy and nobody should be suffering. And if somebody has pain, we should understand them. But what the Rebbe is saying is that this parsha is telling us here that we have to bring, we take the olive and we crush it and then the oil comes out. That is explaining the time of Golus, the time of exile, that us, the Jewish people, were so crushed. We don't have to go to all the details that we were crushed. And even now, in the last 2 years, how things are hard. Even now, I hear from Israel, from the Chevra Kadisha, the Rabbi told me that he heard, unfortunately, so many people are passing away in Israel. They said they don't even have enough place in the freezer. So I can't even fathom that. Like, it's so sad to speak about it. So many funerals. Hashem, why? We were crushed so much. We cried so much to Hashem. And this is already the last things that we're telling Hashem. We're telling the leader of our generation, we're telling Moshe, let's bring Mashiach. We crushed ourselves. We brought the best in us, because when you take an olive and you crush it, oil comes out, beautiful oil. And the oil is all the mitzvot. As Hashem said, let me in. We're doing so many good things, girls. Let's do more good things. Let's do more things that are difficult for us to do, but we can do it. Baruch Hashem, it's difficult. We don't have to sit in the dark on Shabbos and be afraid, God forbid, from Nazis. We don't have to sit in the dark on Shabbos and eat a dry piece of bread, God forbid, in dirty oil with salt. We don't have to do all those terrible, sad things that our grandparents, parents that whoever had to go through. Let's be happy with what we have. Let's use the wealth that we have and use in kindness towards vegetation, towards animals, towards our beautiful world that we have, to understand, to be happy, to be lucky, to see that we are lucky, to do the good things. And it's very interesting as well, girls, that tonight I wanted to mention is the 10th of Adar, tonight and tomorrow. I have a little niece that lived in this world. She was born 19 years ago and she passed away. She was born time of, I think it was January, I think, the 5th of Tevet. I don't know exactly the civil date, but she passed away 9 weeks later to the 10th of Adar. She was Rivke that lived here, my niece. She was her little baby sister. She was my sister's little baby. They didn't know that she was ill. She was born, and 20 minutes later, the right away realized. And actually, the doctor told them that she's going to live only 4 hours. And she lived for 9 weeks. Very difficult weeks for my sister. It seemed like eternity. I remember she told me, she said, Rochel, if I collected all the tears that I spared during those weeks that she was alive, I could have filled up a big mikveh of water, mikveh. And she held the baby only twice in her lifetime. The reason I'm bringing it up is because tonight is her yortzeit, and I told my sister that we the learning of Torah that we are learning for her beautiful neshama. She was named after my grandmother, Batsheva, and she is Batsheva Bas Harav Mordechai Sheikhya. And her neshama was so pure, and she should really already ask Hashem to bring Mashiach, that we don't have to be crushed. Because the way my sister, our whole family, the way we were all crushed during the time of her life, and the whole community, but it brought, for whatever reason, obviously that soul had to come for just a short time. And nobody should be tested, God forbid, with any test like that. And the mitzvahs, the good deeds that were done during the lifetime of that little girl were just like, I remember my sister said that she says all the years that they were there till, 19 years ago, she said we did a lot, but during that time, so many people committed to do a bris, adults that never did a bris, or children. They put mezuzahs, they're starting using the mikveh for women, or they use the mikveh only once. As I said many times, if we are after menopause, we should go at least the last time to mikveh. It's such a special mitzvah, and please let me know if you want to go, because it is, when you decide you want to go, it's so special. The mikveh is very clean, no problem with COVID or anything like that. We have many girls on this chat that are very clean and very careful, and Baruch Hashem use the mikveh, and nobody ever got sick from mikveh, God forbid. It's a very special mitzvah to do. So many women did mikveh, lit Shabbos candles, took so many tzvot, purchased film, started putting on film and everything in order for that little baby to survive. It was a very, I don't know the name, it was a very, very rare thing she had. It's like 1 in thousands or whatever. And it was a big miracle, because all those mitzvahs obviously kept her alive the time she was. And every mitzvah that we do, the Rebbe says it's eternal. Hashem loves every mitzvah we do, and every mitzvah that we do, the Rebbe says that in Yiddish we say, the Rebbe says, tzatske tzech midem. Tzatske is tzatzua, is a toy. Like Hashem is playing with it. Every mitzvah we do is so dear, like a toy is dear to a child. So anything good we do is eternal and is special. So the mitzvahs the Torah that we're learning today should be in the memory of Batsheva, Bat Harav Mordechai. We should really daven to Hashem's strong in our heart and tell Hashem, enough is enough. Hashem, the Rebbe said many times in the last few years before the Rebbe had the stroke, the Rebbe said, we have to scream to Hashem and say, Ad Mosai, Ad Matai. Ad Matai, in the Ashkenazic pronunciation, we say Ad Mosai means until when? Until when, God, do we have to suffer? Until when? How long? And there were many times after a talk that the Rebbe would speak the words of Torah, and the Rebbe would speak that we have to ask Hashem already to end the suffering, to end the misery. We don't have to be crushed anymore like an olive, because we brought up already so much light, so much happiness, so much goodness we did. Through, unfortunately, we were crushed for over 2,000 years. And people, and the Rebbe said to scream Ad Mosai, until when? And this is many times, when I hear something said, we say Ad Mosai, but we don't want to hear anything more said. Now is the month of Adar, 60 days. We have now 50 days, because tomorrow is already the 10th. We have another 50 days of happiness. It's the month of health, because Moshe Rabbeinu was born. We have the connection to our leader of the generation, of the Moshe Rabbeinu. The Moshe Rabbeinu in our generation is the Rebbe. The Rebbe's birthday is on Yud Aleph, the 11th. It's this Shabbos is Yud Aleph, Adar. From this Shabbos, girls, till the Rebbe's birthday, till Yud Aleph Nisan, 11, it's 2 months. And the Rebbe done so much for us. And we want to tell Hashem, we want to see already everybody back here. We want Mashiach to come. That was the life dream of the Rebbe. Since the Rebbe was a child, he always said, I want Mashiach to come so the world will not suffer. Everything will be good. We're speaking in this parsha about lighting the menorah. When Hashem told Moshe, and you should command the Jewish people. As we said, we didn't mention Moshe's name, but it's very direct, and you should light the menorah. One of the times that people were passing by the Rebbe, right? The Rebbe would give blessings, the Rebbe would give $1. So one of the people one time asked the Rebbe, what is your job in the world? What do you have to do? And the Rebbe said, I have to kindle the menorah. I have to light the menorah in each one of the Jewish people, right? The Rebbe is helping us. So the person heard and he kind of went back, and then he came back to the Rebbe and he said, Rebbe, did you kindle my menorah? Which means, did you kindle my neshama? And the Rebbe smiled and the Rebbe said, I gave you the match. Girls, we all have the matches. We all have that match that we can strike and make a flame. We have the neshama, we have the tools. The leader of our generation, the Moshe Rabbeinu, that was born on Adar, that's why we have such a happy month. The Moshe Rabbeinu in our generation is the Rebbe. We all have that match, the gafrur. In Hebrew, we say gafrur, the match, the light. But we have to light it. We have it in our hands. It's so dear to us. Hashem is telling us, please let me into your heart. But it's not enough just to get inspired. Many times, you write to me and people tell me, and I appreciate that. I also get inspired from what we learn. Even though I learned it and I know it now, I prepared for the class. There's so much more that I wanted to share, but we just don't have enough time. Girls, when we learn it together, I'm inspired so much more. I know we have to say words of gratitude, but from after yesterday's class, I felt like I was transformed. I was a different person. I said, if I tell the girls to say 1 minute of gratitude, I'm going to do it. And all of a sudden, I'm so grateful for just being able to dress myself, for just be able to cook, to be able to run, to go on a treadmill. It's all blessings because we know that some people cannot do it. And we don't have to think of sad, just always good and bless the people that need it. As we said last week, we said the bracha for the Rosh Yeshiva in Toronto, that we say the special blessing that Hashem created our bodies. When we go to the washroom, we thank Hashem. Before we go to sleep, Harav Akiva Gershon ben Rochel Basia. I saw a video, I couldn't even watch it because it pains my heart how he speaks and he encourages people. He's laying in bed, he can't even sit. So we think, well, what big deal, I'm sitting, why do I have to thank Hashem? Yeah, we all know. I'm sitting, I can brush my own hair. I can put my own makeup. I remember when I broke my right arm in 2016, and for so long, I couldn't pick up my arm. I did everything with my left hand. I had to dress myself with one hand. I learned to put makeup with one hand. I don't do it anymore with the left arm, never mind. Brush my hair, do everything, cook, I don't know how I did it. And then I learned, and then I had I remember so much empathy when I would see somebody that cannot move their hand. Before I would say, oh, these people, okay, they're special, they're crippled. They do things with one arm, with one leg. You don't think about it. When I had to do it, I also realized, wow, how grateful it is when we can use all our 10 fingers, how grateful it is. But we don't need Hashem to us to be crunched, squeezed like an olive. We don't have to be zerbrochen. We don't have to be broken. We had enough. I should not have to go through breaking my, whatever reason it was, obviously Hashem had a reason to it, when I broke my shoulder, and then I understood so much more and had a feeling to other people and just realized, many times people cannot do things, and it stayed with me forever. When I see that somebody cannot do something, and many times when I have the words of gratitude, and it's still today, I don't think it's ever the same. God willing, Mashiach will come and bring a true healing. When I exercise and I pick up both arms all the way straight, if I stand by a wall, the right one never goes all the way back. I feel like it's this one is always straight and this one still has. Maybe if I'll do more exercise all the time, it will. Some people told me never goes back. I mean, it's so much better, but I still feel there is something stayed there. So we were all crushed. We all brought a lot of oil in us. For over 2,000 years, we are crushed with all the things, especially lately. Girls, let's be happy. Let's have gratitude. Let's let Hashem in. Let's use that match, that menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu told the Jewish people to light. Each one of us is a menorah. Each one of us is a living sanctuary. And we have to let Hashem in and actually do it. I know it sounds like nice words. It's very exciting. We all get inspired. But the Torah, the mitzvahs are not, the Torah is not a cardiac Torah. But I mean cardiac Torah. We get excited, we get inspired with our heart, and then we wake up tomorrow, we forget everything we wanted to do. It's not a cardiac Torah. I don't know if I ever shared that with you, but I heard somebody said, God forbid, so many people, maybe that's the reason so many people have, God forbid, heart attacks, because, many people like to say, I'm a good Jew at heart. I feel good that I'm Jewish. I know that I have what I have to do. I feel good I'm Jewish. I don't have to light physical candles or say a bracha. I have to actually make a kiddush. I actually have to put on tefillin. I am a Jew at heart. It's not good to be a cardiac Jew. This is not, this is not what Torah is meant. Can you be a cardiac person only? Can you say, oh, I feel in my heart that I ate the food. I got dressed in my heart. But you're going to walk outside naked. You're going to go starving. You're not going to eat food because you feel good in your heart that you know that the food is good. We are physical people. It's very important to remember. We are physical people. And that's why we want to do our physical to make it holy. And that's why Hashem gave us so much love that we can be connected to Him through the mitzvahs. And the mitzvahs are physical. And we take a paper, and if we write on it, like we have the Chumash, words of Torah, we kiss it. We cannot throw it away because it became holy, because the words were inscribed in it. We are holy. We have a Yid neshama. We have a holy neshama. We want to use up every day, every minute of our life for something good. We want to let Hashem in. Let's think about it. This parsha, Hashem is saying, light the menorah. We all are menorahs. We have the match. As the Rebbe told that man, I lit your neshama, gentlemen. I gave you the match. Hashem is not doing the work for us. He is helping us, carrying us by our hand. And He's going to be behind us to help us as well, or in front of us. But we have to do the work. The story about was a gentleman, Michael Levy, that lived in one of the cities in the States. Unfortunately, was blind since he was a child. And the mother was very, very protective of him and always went with him everywhere and took him to school and so on and so forth. And then when the child was a little bit older, 10, 11, he said, Mom, I think I know already how to do it on my own. I'm telling you, please, let me walk to school by myself. And the mother was hesitant. But then she decided, okay, she will let him go on his own. And he memorized, he knew exactly how many steps, the walks, the sound in the street with his stick, everything. The boy knew, Michael knew how to walk. And Michael decided to go. Mom said, yes, my love, you can leave the door, go to school. And the child and Michael is walking to school, and he comes to school and he gets greeted by the guard at the door, and he said, Michael, and Michael, as we know, is blind. He couldn't see the guard, but he was able to hear. Good morning, Michael. How nice to see you, Michael Levy. How beautiful, another bright day. And you came here, and Michael is so happy, and he knows that he was able to walk on his own. And all of a sudden, Michael hears, and hello, Mrs. Levy. It's nice. You are following from the back as well. Yes. The mother taught the child. She trusted him, but she was still in the back to make sure that if he needs any help, she'll be there. He didn't know she was there. He went on his own. He thought he had to do it all on his own, and he was all brave on his own, but she was really at the back, guarding him just in case, like a good parent. That's the way Hashem is with us. That's the way God is with us. Many times we don't realize. Michael Levy didn't realize, didn't know the mother was there. He was nervous just in case he could get lost, but he tried and he made it, but she was there. Many times, girls, we take a hard path. We are not sure. I want to start doing a special mitzvah. I want to start doing something new in my life to help someone, to become a little bit more spiritual. I want to start lighting candles. Girls, it's easy. It's tomorrow evening. Shabbos is starting to come a little bit later. Some of us light Shabbos candles every week, and some of us sometimes not. It's not easy. You're at work, you forget, life is busy, whatever the reason is. Let's make a firm decision. Yes, Hashem taught us. Mrs. Levy, it's a wonderful story to learn, taught Michael Levy how to walk. She was afraid to let him go. He said, no, I'll do it. And then she stayed in the back. Hashem gave us the tools. Let's do it. And if we'll need that help, the help will be there. I have so many incidents this week with my own life that, I needed some stuff to be done at work, at home. And some things, it was difficult. And I cannot say I didn't have enough trust. I trusted that Hashem will help. And I said, well, how long? And I was worried about it. I should not have been worried. I was calm, but I was still a little bit worried. And then a few hours later, all of a sudden, the whole puzzle worked out. And I said, wow, how Hashem is watching us in every step of the way. Sometimes it's more revealed. Sometimes it's a little bit more concealed. It's true. And then it's hard. And that's what we're doing now, that we're telling Hashem is saying, let me in. We're going to let God in our lives. And we've already crushed enough as the olives through all generations. And we're asking Hashem, now is the time. The leader of our generation, the birthday of the Rebbe in 2 months is going to be 120 years. 120 is a very special number. Completion. Moshe Rabbeinu lived 120 years. We're not going to go now on that more. I would like to share with you another time. There's so much that speaks about this parsha that, as we said, Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned, but then his essence is so strong. And his neshama, all of us are so connected to Moshe, to the leadership of the tzaddik, to the love of the tzaddik. So let's use that light, the menorah. Let's use all of the special things that Hashem gave us, the ability that we have to do a mitzvah, to put a mezuzah, to light a Shabbos candle, put on tefillin, call a friend and make them feel good, cook a meal for someone, whatever it is. There is so many mitzvot we can do. Use the mikvah only once. You have to go only once because you're already over the time that you have to go every month. Use it. It's so special. It's going to elevate you. It's something that Hashem wants us to do. Another mitzvah in the Torah, we'll finish with that, is this parsha speaks about the clothes, the clothing of the Kohen and the Kohen Gadol, the garments, what they have to wear, physical clothing. They have to wear a hat and a shirt and pants and this, and the Kohen had the breastplate and he's, with all the beautiful jewels, one for each shevet, for each tribe, and then a lot of meaning. How do we put it to our lives? When I was learning it, I thought to myself that this speaks about garments, clothing. Us as women, we love to dress beautifully, and we should. And maybe that's a good time for us to analyze some of our clothing to see, is it modest for a Jewish woman? It's hard for me to start doing everything modest. Maybe for Shabbat, maybe for the holidays, I should be more modest. Maybe when I light Shabbos candles, I can cover my hair when I say the bracha. Things like that, because the Torah speaks here about clothing. We don't have now Kohen Gadol that we can dress. Let's put it into our lives. As we discuss many times, we learn, we have to bring it down to earth, to us. Another thing is, as those of us who learn Tanya, who learn Kabbalah, we know that the soul, our neshama, has 3 garments: machshava, dibur, and maaseh. Thought, speech, and action. This is the garments of the soul, because how do we express ourselves? How does the soul express? How do we express ourselves? Either in speech, with thinking about stuff. This is very, very internal clothing, right? Because it's in our head. Nobody knows what we are thinking. Sometimes close friends can see family, right? Even you're very close to a friend, you think about them, they call you and so on. But this is really between you and Hashem, your soul. Speech is for someone else. You don't have to speak to yourself. And action is even more for someone else. So when I was learning the Parsha, when I finished the class, and with so many wonderful things we learned today, that Hashem is telling Moshe to tell the Jewish people and the Kohanim how they have to dress themselves. Our garments should be pure, clean, beautiful, shining like the menorah, clean from any dirt, but we don't mean physical dirt, from any things that are not pure. Our thoughts should be pure. Our speech, as we said before, how much speech has an effect in the world, and obviously our actions. So important, we should make them as pure as possible. And we do know we make mistakes, but that's okay. I wrote to the Rebbe a letter a few weeks ago asking for a bracha for certain things, and the Rebbe writes over there many blessings. The Rebbe writes a letter to someone, and the Rebbe writes as well, we all make mistakes, but the mistake should not bring you down, because we learn from mistakes. Obviously, we shouldn't make mistakes on purpose, but if you make a mistake, it shouldn't bring you down. You can be bitter about it, and then you learn how not good it is to do it, and you'll do so much more, but that shouldn't break you and bring you down. So we all make mistakes, but God willing, we should stop. We make 2 mistakes, but let's make 5 things good. We make 1 mistake, we make 10 things good. So we should have more positive than negative. Have a good Shabbos. We should have a very special Shabbos, very special Parsha. We live with Moshe Rabbeinu, although in a concealed way, because Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned. And that's how I feel that we live with the Rebbe, but in a concealed way. We don't see the Rebbe physically already for many years, since 1994. 1992, after the Rebbe's stroke, we saw the Rebbe a little bit. It was very difficult, very difficult. I remember the first time we saw the Rebbe saw him in a video. We got it. Where did we live still? I think we lived still probably in Oak Ridge House. Whatever the Rebbe was after a stroke, the Rebbe didn't move the same and so on. But I will never forget the one time that I passed by, the last time that I passed by the Rebbe, God willing, Mashiach will come, all the women that came for the kinus. It was in 1993, it was 1994 or 93, I can't remember. The Rebbe did not give dollars. Unfortunately, the Rebbe's hand from the stroke, the Rebbe didn't move it. One of his hands was not. So, but we all passed by very quickly. And it was amazing how the Rebbe smiled. I remember it was a split of a second. The Rebbe looked at me, the Rebbe smiled. The Rebbe's eyes were so open, blue, bright eyes. And the Rebbe he just smiled at everyone. All of us went by. And that fatherly smile, it gives so much energy. But God willing, we should be able to see the Rebbe physically in our lives. We should be able to see all the tzaddikim, all the parents, all the grandparents that passed away, because when Mashiach will come, everybody will come back. And we should say, Ad Mosai, until when? Hashem, it's enough. And we're mentioning it so much, this parsha, because we're learning about the oil, about the olive that is crushed. God, we were crushed enough. Now it's time to have the menorah lit, the neshama lit forever, not just a little bit, forever. And we should all be able to light our own neshama and light someone else, because we all have the match. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Sorry to be a little bit late. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
So to see you all. Shabbat shalom.
May your symptoms go completely away.
Shabbos, everybody.
Dear Rebbetzin.